Here at Gundam Planet, we're all about mixing it up, so we're always building more models to display in our showroom. Sometimes they're on display for a couple weeks, sometimes they're on display for so long that we forget about them. With so many kits rotating through our showroom and warehouse, we have a lot of options at our disposal. This series is going to allow us to revisit, reevaluate, and re-review some of our favorite and least favorite returning displays. This is Gundam Planet Rewind. This week for Gundam Planet Rewind, I'm jumping in a time machine to go back to the first kit that I ever built on release, the MG Sinanju Stein Ver.Ka, which we finally just got a restock of. The new Ver.Ka had been my first exposure to brand new Bandai technology. My previous master grades were builds like Wing Ver.Ka, Easy 8, GPO 3. So once I saw what they were capable of releasing post 2010, I knew I had to build this right away. You can tell this is the original kit that I built 11 years ago because you can see sun bleaching on specific angles where it was on display. They hadn't invented super clear UV cut yet. Aesthetically, this is without question one of my top favorite model kits I've built. The aggressive points and curves of the red Sinanju design were always a little too much for my tastes, and the way that they were maintained yet toned down into a more Federation-like style combines the best parts of Gundam designs with the more over-the-top nature of Sleeves design elements. Some people might think this looks too washed out compared to the darker narrative version, but I personally like the straightforward, clean, white-on-navy look. It's really fascinating to see a design as insane as the Sinanju be made into something almost tame. As for the kit itself, it does show its age by modern standards, but some of those drawbacks actually help it hold up well over time. For example, there's limited articulation in the waist, torso, and shoulders, but this prevented it from ever sagging despite being on display for a decade. It still cooperates while posing and holds the pose as well. There are double joints in the elbows and knees the knees have a great amount of separation between panels to break up the silhouette. Combine this with the articulated thrusters on the outer shins and it looks extremely dynamic even in basic poses. The thigh joints are on a swivel so they can be swung up and back in order to prevent the oversized skirt armor parts from inhibiting poses as well. The forearms also have compartments to hold the beam saber hilts, similar to the Unicorn but concealed, and they can swing out, allowing you to attach the saber effects for a wrist-mounted weapon. I personally love this option and prefer it over the handheld appearance, but you can do either one you want. This brings me to the hands, which people either love or hate. While they are very expressive, they were never very solid in the first place, and they're not much different now. It always feels finicky to get a trigger-based weapon into these hands, and the wrists don't hold a lot of weight once you do. The high beam rifle in particular will never be able to be used in dynamic pose due to its comical barrel length, but you can get a little creative with the bazooka by bracing it either between the arm and body or over the shoulder. A lot of these problems could be solved by including fixed hands, but they hadn't gotten around to that yet. The shield clips onto either forearm, so you never need to worry about stability there at least. I would build this kit again in a heartbeat, and I'm actually going to once the narrative Ver.Ka comes out this spring. And I think it's the perfect in-between for people who like classic Gundam designs and the ones who like the more sinister look of Zeon suits. From the first part of the full polystyrene inner frame all the way out to the decal on the very end of the high beam rifle, this kit is chock full of unique charm that has held its place in my heart after all these years. Henrik Lundqvist pose score rating 8 out of 10. Surprisingly deep splits, just not handsome enough.